Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're asking a big question. What if we looked at politics not just as a string of events, but as a performance? It's a lens that can unlock a whole new way of seeing the world around us.
So let's just dive right in with this really powerful story from 2021. On one hand, you have this beautiful symbolic performance, Little Amal, a giant puppet of a refugee child being welcomed with open arms all across Europe. But on the other hand, there's this incredibly stark reality. In the very same month, real people were freezing to death at borders and dozens drowned trying to make a similar journey. And that contrast brings up a really tough question, right? It's really the heart of what we're talking about today. Why is it that we can celebrate the symbol of a refugee, but when faced with the actual reality, we so often look away? To even begin to answer that, we need to shift our perspective. We need a new lens. So what if we started analyzing politics not just as policy debates, but as a grand performance playing out on the world stage?
You see, politics isn't just about what happens in government buildings. The source material we're looking at defines it much more broadly. It's a constant contest over power, over our values, and it happens absolutely everywhere, from the UN all the way down to a protest on your local street.
Okay, so what do we actually mean by performance here? It's super important to get this. It's not about being fake. The term used here is twice-behaved behavior. Think about it. These are actions that are learned, rehearsed, and then repeated. A politician's stump speech, a protest chant, even a royal wedding. They're all performances. It's all about consciously showing that you're doing something.
And this is such a powerful idea because, as the performance scholar Richard Schechner says, it means that just about anything can be studied as performance. Suddenly, we have a whole new set of tools to analyze the political world.
So if we're going to look at politics as a performance, how do we actually, break it down? Well, our toolkit has two really crucial concepts we need to grab. First up, you've got theatrality. The easiest way to think about this is that it's the how. It's the script, the rituals, the stage design, all the unwritten rules and conventions that frame an event and tell all the actors how they're supposed to behave.
And second, there's performativity. Now, if theatricality is the script, performativity is the impact. It's the what it does, the very real power that words and actions have to produce actual, tangible consequences and literally create new realities.
This chart really breaks it down nicely. Take theatrality, the how. Think about the circular seating at a UN summit. That's not an accident. It's a piece of theater designed to symbolize equality. That's the script. Then you have performativity, the effect. The classic example is saying "I do" at a wedding. Those two little words don't just describe something. They actually do something. They create a legally binding marriage. They change your reality.
All right, now for the fun part. We've got our tools: theatricality and performativity. So let's put them to work and look at three very different kinds of political performance.
So, the source material breaks these down into three main types. You've got convivial performances, which are all about bringing people together. Then there's antagonistic, which uses conflict to make a point. And finally, solidaristic, which is a powerful blend of both.
First up, let's talk about convivial performances. These are all about building community, about creating connection, and they often do it in really simple human ways. A fantastic example is this art project called Breakfast Elsewhere. Picture this: a bunch of complete strangers get together in an art gallery to cook a meal. The recipe comes from a Syrian immigrant, but there are no big political speeches. The goal was simply to create a small, temporary community through the shared act of making and eating food together.
All right, now let's flip the script completely. Let's talk about antagonistic performances. These aren't about creating harmony. They're designed to stir things up, to use confrontation to shine a bright, uncomfortable light on a problem.
A really provocative example of this was an art installation in Vienna called Foreigners Out. I mean, get this. Real asylum seekers were put inside a shipping container in the middle of the city square as part of this mock reality show. It was deliberately uncomfortable, and it was designed to force the public to confront rising anti-immigrant politics head-on.
And that brings us to our third and maybe most interesting type: solidaritic performances. These are fascinating because they kind of take the community-building vibe from the convivial performances and mix it with that confrontational energy of the antagonistic ones to build really powerful movements for change.
An absolutely remarkable example was the Shaheen Bagh protest in Delhi. A group of women peacefully occupied a major road to protest a discriminatory law. But they didn't just occupy the space, they completely transformed it into what they called a garden of hope. They used art, poetry, pop-up libraries, and public lectures to build this incredible community of resistance. They even painted murals connecting their local fight to global movements, like Black Lives Matter.
Okay, so we've been through all this theory, we've looked at all these examples, but what does it all mean? What's the point of looking at politics this way?
And it is so important to get this. The point isn't to be cynical and say that all politics is fake or just an act. Not at all. It's about becoming a more critical audience. It's about having the tools to see the hidden scripts, to recognize the roles people are playing, and to understand the power dynamics that are shaping everything around us.
Because when you start to understand the performance, you stop being just a passive member of the audience. You can see how the world is being constructed. And that really leaves us with one final and maybe most important question for you. Now that you can see the script, what role will you play?